What are some things you should keep in mind as you begin your consulting journey? Welcome back to Listen to Leo. In today's video, I wanted to share a few tips that I've come across as I've started to build up a consulting practice, been focusing on helping small businesses develop their AI and automation capabilities to really streamline everything they're doing. And I recently secured a contract with a client. And throughout that process, a few things really stood out to me. And so I wanted to share what happened and what I learned. So this kind of started on a bit of a whim. I came up with this offering. I threw it up on a website, added a Calendly link with a payment option, and had the opportunity to send it out to an AI newsletter. And first of all, as part of that process, I structured it like an ad at first, and the operator of the newsletter, who's a friend of mine, said, yeah, don't do it that way. That looks like an ad. Like it feels icky. People will ignore it. He goes, instead, make a personalized video talking about who you are, what you do, and how you can help. And so I went that route, had a short blurb, included a video, and sent out the link. Now, this resulted in about 150 visits to the website, which I thought was pretty good. Nobody actually emailed me to ask about the offering, and one person just paid and scheduled a meeting. So, lesson number one, just throw up a payment link. For anything you offer, give people the option to actually pay you. You might just be surprised. I certainly was. Okay. So as part of the initial consultation, I met with him, learned about his business and where his concerns were, what he wanted to do. And from there, I took it and compiled a report on basically where I saw his ability to optimize and streamline kind of everything. And, met again, delivered it to him, and he expressed interest in working together further. Awesome. That's what I was hoping. And so I said, okay, great. I'll throw together some options for you, and we can go from there. Now, I'll be honest. I didn't quite know how to price the offerings. Still pretty new to this. And so I basically came up with 3 different packages at various price levels. Came up with a $2,500 a month, a $5,000 a month, and a $10,000 a month offering based on what I thought I could provide. And, I included a number of different services. And so this is kind of lesson number 2 here. When you don't know, throw out some options and see what they go with, because this will at least give you an idea of ballpark. And if you're in this point where you have established a bit of a rapport and they're interested, there's very little chance of them just coming back and being like, yeah, never mind. They've already expressed interest. So the key is to use this opportunity to gain more information about what it is they're looking for, what their budget is, etc. Okay. So I email them, and crickets. Not quite what I was hoping for. And honestly, this is where I have fallen flat in the past. I'm not very good with following up. But at this point, I gave it about a week and then sent another email and just said, hey, would love to know where you're at. Hey, and by the way, I was thinking of something you could do. Here's, kind of a bit of a process that I thought might be helpful. Anyway, let me know. And I got a response to that one and said, hey, I would really love kind of the middle package, but it is a bit out of my price range. And I said, cool, no worries. We can work with that. Here's what I can do. Can you come in at the lower price point? I can adjust that offering to kind of line it up. and sent that out. And again, crickets. And so this is really kind of messing with my head a bit because I'm like, okay, where do I stand with this? Not particularly good at this whole thing. But again, I waited about a week and then followed up and said, hey, just wanted to check in with you. If you could, just let me know what your budget is. Would love to come up with something in line with, what you have available, and we can work from there. By the way, here's a couple of things that I thought might be helpful. A couple new AI tools coming out in line with his business that I thought could be useful. And so the next lesson here is really to always include a little bit of information that might be helpful, some tips, tricks, just thoughts. As a consultant, you know more than them. And sometimes it's hard to remember that you know more than them. It's the curse of knowledge, right? You hear this a lot when trying to teach things. You know a lot more. And so even things that seem simple to you probably aren't nearly as simple to your client. And so offer little tips as you reach out, because it also gives you a reason to reach out. Hey, I saw this and thought of you. I was thinking about what you're doing. Here's something that can help you along your journey. I found that to be really helpful, and it made it feel more natural as I'm continuing this thing, as opposed to like, hey, so you want to pay me to work with you, or what's going on here? I felt awkward. I'm not very good at that part, but this allowed me to really feel like I was helpful as part of the process, which is important to me. Okay, so I've reached out and I've asked for a budget, and nothing. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I assume that this is pretty much dead in the water. Have to start researching kind of different options, different ways I want to go. No big deal. And then a bit later, all of a sudden I get an email saying, hey, here's my budget. Love to know what we could do for that. Do you want to send me something? You want to meet up? Where do we go? So I said, hey, great. Let's chat. Here's a calendar link. Scheduled for a couple days later. We set up a package based on the price he suggested, or the budget that he had, and payment hit my account a few days later. And so the next lesson I want to highlight here is things take time. What might be super high priority to you is only a piece of other people's lives. And so when you're dealing with clients or potential clients, there might be delays, and that's fine. You don't want to rush it. Just keep checking in periodically. It doesn't mean that they don't want to work with you. It just means that, hey, they haven't gotten that far yet. Maybe something's holding up. Keep touching base, keep up that connection, and continue to build that relationship, because ultimately, consulting, like so many other things in life, comes down to relationship building. So that is something to really keep in mind here. And then finally, one thing I want to point out here is that throughout this process, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no playbook. I was making it up as I went along. But I know what I know. And when I got on calls, I felt comfortable because I was able to talk about the stuff that I'm very knowledgeable about. And as a consultant, that's what you're there for. You're not going to have all the answers, but you're going to have way more than the client does. And that's what they're paying you for. They're paying you for your knowledge. They're paying you for your experience. And they're paying for you to help them solve their problems. And so keep that in mind. And so to recap, 5 lessons. Number 1, put a payment button on your site. Got to give them a chance to pay you. Number 2, if you don't know something, provide a couple options and use that to narrow it down. Use that to figure out where you stand, what they're looking for, etc. Number 3, When you're reaching back out, make sure that you're throwing in a little tip, a trick, new tool, something, just a little bit of information to kind of, you know, be a reason to reach out and just say, hey, would love to know where we sit. Number 4, it's going to take longer than you expect it to, and that is totally fine. And number 5, it's okay to make it up as you go along. You don't need to be an expert consultant. You need to be an expert who is consulting. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.